the interview started. We're gonna begin the show. Da, 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 da.
Best opening ever.
We don't even need to do the interview because we can just sing and dance all night long.
That was
That's what
really
we had
good.
planned, right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I don't know, what were you here for? Were you here to talk about your new book that's coming out?
You know, I don't know. I don't know anymore. I have lost. I am like completely displaced from reality right now. So honestly, we could play D&D and I'd just be like, "Oh, that's totally what we signed up
Agreed
for,
to.
right?
Yeah. That
That's
was
why
in the
we're
fine
here?"
print.
Yeah.
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 Well, I mean, the good news is I do want to talk about your new book and how you've been doing and like just how are you in general?
I am I am okay. I think I'm like at 65%.
Yeah.
Like I don't know, like I there's absolutely no reason to complain. Like life is good in the sense of the personal and the micro.
Yeah.
Um the macro just feels kind of like,
Yeah.
and I don't know if that's I don't know. How are you? How are you feeling?
Um, I don't know if I could give a percentage to where I'm at right now. For where we're at, we're recording this before Christmas. Today is December 19th. Um,
When
I
is this
don't
gonna go live?
This is probably going to go live the week that your book comes out. Which is January the 7th. Wake up and open your eyes. Clay McLeod Chapman.
Happy New Year. Dun, 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 dun. It's 2025. Bum, 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 bum,
Yes.
bum, bum.
It feels like the time in between Thanksgiving and Christmas was non-existent, and there has been no break. There has been no chill. There has been like no rest. Like we're just going, you know?
Yeah. You've been going. You've been keeping busy. I listened to Talking Scared. I heard that Talking Scared, and you're
Yeah.
very, very good in that.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I can't, okay. I really don't want to talk about it for too long because I feel like I'm gloating. But everybody has been so kind and nice to me about me going on there, and like so many people have reached out. It has been like I don't know, like I kind of get emotional about it. Like people are so, so kind.
Yeah, what's wrong with those people? What are they? What is, what's up? I mean,
I don't mean it like that, but
I had a chance to chat with Neil, and I just found it so surprising that like you've only been doing this for this year. Is that
yeah,
true?
it is true. I interviewed Liz Karen in January of 2024, and then I didn't interview anybody until like the summer.
Hmm.
Because I was just like sitting on her interview. I was waiting for some time to pass because we talked about spoilers in her book. And I was like, I don't know. I was like, I guess I'll make this a thing. And then I started asking kind folks like you, and you all agreed.
Hmm.
And then it just kind of took off from there.
So it's our fault. We enabled this.
I think you did. I think
Okay.
that you did.
Damn it. What have we done?
I
We've
don't
created a
know.
monster.
I don't know. It's getting out of hand, Clay. It's getting out of hand. You're talking to me again.
Oh God. What else am I gonna do? What else am I gonna do with myself? I would just be at this desk, kind of staring off into the ether. It's like I just need validation. I just need someone to like tell me it's gonna be okay. Is it gonna be
Well,
okay?
it is gonna be okay, Clay. It totally is gonna be okay. Um, so, I feel like most people know who you are. I certainly know who you are because I've talked to you before. But if people don't know who you are, Clay, you are a horror author. You've written books like What Kind of Mother and Ghost Eaters and Kill Your Darling, which is my personal favorite, and a bunch of other things. You are an incredibly busy author, but mostly I wanted to talk to you today about Wake Up and Open Your Eyes, your book that's coming out with Quirk in January of 2025, like I mentioned before. Um, do you want to introduce the book or do you just want to like get straight to talking about it?
I'm gonna totally derail the whole conversation like straight out of the
Okay,
gate and say,
perfect.
"Kill Your Darling's your favorite?"
I think it is. Like the longer that I've sat with it, and like I wrote like to spoiler alert, I wrote like a little something on it today, and like I get emotional about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ghost Eaters like really hit me really hard about addiction. And like I honestly think about addiction differently because of that book.
Yeah.
But you do so I think what impresses me the most with Kill Your Darling is how much you accomplish in like the space that you had.
Hmm.
And you juggle so much with that story. Like, I'm so impressed by the juxtaposition of like you cover what it means to create something and like hold on to something, and that's like life and the nexus of things. And then you also talk about death and losing something and like not knowing how to let go.
Hmm.
But despite like the two ends of that spectrum, they flow together, and that's super impressive to me.
So what makes a good book then? What's the criteria for you? Like, because like I know, I mean, you're voracious. Like you read all the damn time, and like you're imbibing and like devouring books,
Yeah.
and like you at this point, like there have to be those moments where you're just like, yeah, okay, yeah.
Um, I'm only going to answer this if you agree to also answer what you think makes a good book. But with that caveat, I think lately for me, a good book is a book that makes me feel more than anything. Because like this is all kind of an art form that we're all participating in, and like we're all being vulnerable with one another by sharing our stories. So whenever a book makes me feel something, like we're already a step in the right direction. And then beyond that, like of course, like the things that are important, like prose and pacing and like technical structure and all those things are great. Like they're fine, but like
Mhm.
a lot of people have that covered. Like you don't have to worry about that. It's all of like the really special things about handling like emotional intelligence really
Mm.
well in a way that feels authentic. Never being like gratuitous with like for me like pain and gore. Like I understand that there's a need for suffering, but
Uh-huh.
like if there's a reason behind it, then it makes sense to me. And I know that you're laughing because we're about to talk about a book with a lot of it, but there was a reason for it.
Uh-huh.
And I think for me, just like to the way to tie it all together is like I don't care how many balls you have up in the air and you're juggling. If you can handle those things with like grace and a bit of authenticity, I think like you're set. I think
Yeah.
if you're it's being real in a world right now where we feel very disjointed and disconnected, that's what's working for me at the moment. Like it could be like tomorrow and I change my mind on this, but today that's what's working for me.
Yeah. Okay. What books are doing that for you right now? Like what books did
Oh
that?
my God. So I just last week I'm like I haven't picked up a book since I read Nat Cassidy's When the Wolf Comes Home. Like I am in the biggest book hangover from that book. That book like for the best reason upset me.
Yeah.
Like oh, I can't tell you how timely that book is for me personally right now.
Yeah.
I was like, Nat, what do you know that I did? Like, how did you know? How did you notice that this landed to me right now? So that's something that did that. I'm trying to
Yeah,
think
people
about what
love
else.
that book. That's a book that's like gonna that book is gonna like shake people.
Yeah, yeah, that is it's a heavy hitter, and like I got my friend Amber to read it, and I was kind of afraid that it was gonna be like a lot. Like I didn't know if she was gonna like it, and then she
Yeah.
did, and I was like, oh, thank God. Uh, but yeah, it's a doozy.
It's
It's
a
a
doozy.
it's a doozy.
That's what they say on the street.
Yeah.
That Nat, he sure
Okay.
can write a doozy.
Yeah, but okay, now you have to answer the question though. What do you think makes a good book right now?
I don't know how to make a good book. So there's that.
I don't think that that's
But
true, but anyway.
I do think that like in reading a good book, I don't know, like I'm feeling like I felt unmoored. I've like there have been it's not even so much I feel like I'm like reading too much. And
Yeah.
like a lot of it is for kind of blurb purposes, which
Yeah.
already kind of like puts a weird mandate on the book. Like I'm looking at the book differently.
Yep.
So like at the moment like the books that really kind of stick out for me are the ones where I think about them a week later or 2 weeks later. Like the
Yeah.
book that kind of like reverberates beyond the the actual imbibing of it.
Yeah.
And the books that have done that lately, uh uh I know you just read Senseless by Ron Amalfi. That
Oh.
book completely discombobulated me in such a
Yeah.
way that I'm so like I just feel displaced. Like I am like I've
Yeah.
been outside of time in like that the world that exists in that book just feels like I don't know, like it it's just so discombobulating to me. Like I've
Yeah.
walked out of it and feel like I've survived something.
Yeah.
Um and the same goes for Staircase in the Woods,
Oh
Stairwell in
yeah,
the Woods, Staircase
I
in the
read
Woods.
that one too. Yeah.
Chuck Wendig, and the October Film Haunt by Michael Wehunt.
I want to read that one, yeah.
They're really good. Oh, and Brian Evanson's most recent
Oh
collection,
yeah.
Good Night, Sleep Tight.
Yeah. I've heard really good things about that one.
I mean, like, I don't know, like there are books that just they like feel they don't feel new, but they feel like you find like you've like discovered something that has been like buried in a I don't know, like a time capsule. Like you open it up and it just feels like you're kind of like opening up some weird portal to some other universe. And it just feels like I don't know, like you just get sucked in. And
Yeah. I
so,
think, and this is true of your book as well, Wake Up and Open Your Eyes. I find that like I'm my prediction, at least anyway, I mean I could be wrong here, but for 2025, my prediction is like horror is going there, no holds barred. Like Nat did it, you did it, Malfi did it with Senseless. Like there's just no question of we are gonna go here and we're gonna do this. And
yeah.
that's a really cool thing to read.
Yeah. But at least Nat has heart. I feel like Ron's Ron's just feels like, oh, the world is dead.
Ronald
Like,
Mal that Senseless feels like the I don't even know what rated season of True Detective that's not been written yet. Like the most insane. I mean, I there's no words. There's truly no words. That reading experience was something because like I had pieced some things together and then there was another thing like I just don't know where he's going to take this.
yeah,
And there is no
yeah,
way to know with that book. There is no way to know.
yeah. And no spoilers, but like there's no like you leave it and you leave
Yeah.
unknowing.
Yeah. No, you don't get a pretty little bow on it. You know, you're forced to sit with that one too. You're
Yeah.
forced to make a decision on how that goes.
It is stuck in my craw. But yeah, Nat's like he just I feel like horror with empathy right now is a real
Yeah.
like that is a hard thing to do. And I think Nat is probably the one that's like really leading the charge in terms of like, oh, this is horrifying, but
Keep going.
there's
Yeah.
still like a pulsed like a beating kind of like huh, like a I don't know like it's there's a humanity to it that he never loses, and I I feel like Ron lost his humanity years ago. I think Chuck. I think the whole book. I think Staircase in the Woods is about losing one's
Yeah.
humanity.
And
You
like
know.
deciding how far you'll go to get it back
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
not, like what do you do? Because even that one, you're kind of left it's
Yeah.
by the end.
Uh,
Um
and yeah, they're just all like, and maybe it's because they're older. Those are old guys. But like they're like, oh man, there's nothing, there's no hope left in the world. And Nat, little young and Nat, he's like, you know, but guys, there's still hope to be had in this world. Don't you
I mean,
believe, Bambi?
it's possible. But Nat also wrote like Rest Stop, and that's a pretty aggressive novella. I mean, it's another one that you're kind of left to be like to make sense of what's left, but that's pretty aggressive.
Yeah. I don't know. It's so funny. Like I think Nat he just sometimes he's like a coot. He's just like he's like it's kind of like that weird uncle that you have that's like whenever because you never see him enough to see him 300 you don't see him 365 days. You only see him at
Yeah,
holidays. So he's
right.
always like spry and kind of like, "Hey kids, like, you want to." And like Rest Stop is it's like one of those books where it's like, yeah, it's gross and intense and like adrenaline rushed,
But it's
but
a
like
lot
it's
more than
still
that. Yeah.
it's still not being like, hey, like it's your old Uncle Nat. I'm like gonna, like he's like doing magic tricks for the kids at the Thanksgiving dinner or something. Like he's just like, oh, I'm gonna pull up, a bunch of bugs out of the drain. I don't know.
And
I don't know.
yeah, no, I get what you're saying, but I think that there's still a lot of that left in horror. And I'm trying to think if I've read, let me, you know what? Let me look. Let me consult before I lie and say that I have or I haven't read something that I haven't. But I do feel like yeah, those are all the arcs. Oh, Grady Hendrix, Witchcraft for Wayward Girls. That's the only
Yeah,
other arc that I read. That ending moved me to tears. I wasn't expecting to be so emotional with that one.
yeah,
Um yeah. I feel like that was kind of I'm not gonna lie, that was kind of a rough book to read too. Mostly
yeah.
because of like when I chose to read it, I read it like in the middle of November,
Mm,
and I was like, oh, this is a little too real for me right now. This is a little so it
too
took me a
real.
little bit longer to get through it than I had wanted, but man, that ending was good. That was a good ending.
I haven't read it yet. I feel like now we're all in that kind of envy place of like, oh, you've got Witchcraft for Wayward Girls, like, oh, you've got the Buffalo Hunter. Like it's like
Um, you
who
have the
has
trump
what?
card. You have the big one. You have Play Nice by Rachel Harrison.
I mean, it's so I'm not gonna say it's a joke, but it is like at a certain point, like social media just becomes all about like, look at me. Look what I've got. Oh God. Like how do you make this as like totally nonchalant and still passive aggressive as humanly possible? Just me sitting by the pool reading Rachel Harrison's new book. Ha, ha, ha. Like,
It's a fine art. It's a very fine art to pull it off.
God, who are the jerks? Who are the a-holes that do that? The horror a-hole, like that, like, oh, just me taking a picture of me reading, Stephen Graham Jones' new book. Ha, ooh.
Oh God.
Kills me.
That is that okay, but speaking of that Stephen Graham Jones book, I'm a little intimidated by that one. I'm like
Yeah.
I'm excited to read it, but I'm intimidated by it. I've heard good things, but I think it's very heavy on the historical aspects, and
Yeah.
I'm hoping that my brain is open to receiving all of the things because just sometimes my brain is not there.
Yeah. What is it like when do you have to get like when do you have to take in a book? Like when's the like you can't read a book for at least 2 more weeks because of Nat. Thanks, Nat. Um, but when you come out, is it there's like this moment where it's like, okay, this is how I feel right now. This is who I am. Like I need to this is the type of book that I'm ready to receive. And
Yeah. I think I already have it picked out. I think it's gonna be Bat Eater.
yeah.
Because I heard it's pretty insane. And I think like to get me out of my oh my God, I needed to read another When the Wolf Comes Home depression. I need something that's a little faster paced, bonkers, aggressive, you know.
Mhm.
Much like your book, Wake Up and Open Your Eyes. I'm trying to bring this back. I'm trying to make you talk
Try.
about this book.
Try. Just do it. See if you can get her. See if you can just slide it in. I'm like, it's like hockey. I'm just like, psh, goal, psh, ow, bing. Not gonna happen. Is it
Oh,
gonna happen?
it
Are
is.
we?
It's gonna
Wh
have to happen.
how long? When do you have to go? What's
I
the
don't.
what? Yeah, okay.
I
Do you think we could
don't.
go 3 hours before? Like, okay, finally, we'll talk. Like, what's the breaking point?
I mean, you tell me.
It is on. We're playing chicken tonight. Um,
Yeah.
so about Matt, um, I mean, what is okay, I'll stop. But like what is there to say? Like what is there like I mean, I don't know if we're allowed to curse, but
Yeah.
like what the I mean, I don't know. What am I gonna do? How can I what is there that I could possibly say to you that's gonna make up for it? Like what
There's, first of all, we must address that there's nothing to make up for because I enjoyed Wake Up and Open Your Eyes.
mm,
It was a cathartic experience for me. And
mhm,
I'm not gonna lie, like I think it's the fastest that I've ever felt compelled to read something like this.
mhm.
Like when I tell you I could not put it down, I couldn't put it down. And that's like one of the things I want to talk to you about is your pacing. But before we even get to all of that, I have to know, when did you start writing this book?
Um, I should know. I mean, it was it was after What Kind of Mother.
Yeah.
So that came out in tw September
Yes.
2023. So I started writing it in the December. Jesus, that can't be right.
I think it might
December
be.
2022. So here's it's like it's one of these weird things where like I have to pitch it to my
Right.
editor in December. Like the hope is that like I want to be writing it in like starting in January, like
Right.
over Christmas. So I pitched it in the summer of 2022. Jesus, that feels so wrong, but that's true because Ghost Eaters came out in 2022. So like what kind of mother was already
Was
in the pipeline?
right.
Jesus. So in December 2022, I was like, this is kind of what I want to write. And I like had like a bunch of different ideas and we kind of narrowed it down. And then I didn't hear from anybody. And then I started kind of working on it
Yeah.
uh, in earnest in the beginning of 2023. And yeah,
I
that's,
think,
yeah.
yeah. I mean, obvious. Okay, so we're gonna lean into it. I mean, it's obviously a political book, and there are some things that you cover in that book are political. But like to the degree of which you have predicted some of the things that are in the book that have proven to be incredibly timely now. And like, I will be the first to admit I'm not the most political person. I'm not somebody who watches the news every single day. So, to me it might seem more startling than it actually is. But like
Mhm.
within the very first page you have something in there that like is at the forefront of our minds now in today's world. And I'm like, when did I have to know when he started writing this. Is he sidekick and who did he commune with to get this down? I mean, like the overall sentiment of the book, I think I definitely can see you starting to tap into, as far back as, but like in specific, there are so many things that I'm like, oh my God, how did he know?
I mean, I, I I mean, is the book prescient? It's not prescient. It's not like it's not like it's not like oh now we have it's not like H.G. Wells saying they're going to be cell phones like it's I mean I guess I'm trying to figure out like what I'm going to be completely naive to the any understanding or comprehension of my own book because I don't understand my own book. But I mean, I don't care about spoiling things, but like, what
Yeah.
are
Oh no, it's not a spoiler. So like I'll be like I very specific. Like on the first page, there is or like the first two pages, there is a mention that you have about taking the formaldehyde or whatever out of the water.
the
You have
fluoride? The
yeah, the fluoride, sorry, not formaldehyde. Jesus Christ, can you
that would be
imagine?
intense.
That would be bad. Anyway, no, yeah, you have that in like your first couple of pages. And I took a picture of it because I was like, because it all has been discussed with RFK and all this stuff.
Yeah,
So I'm like, obviously this has been talked about before to some extent, or whatever, but God, it hits a little different right
yeah,
now. You know what I mean?
yeah. Okay, yes. So two things. I want to take back a bit of what I said before about when I started writing it because I'm just now remembering that there's an anthology that came out called Found.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. You had a story
Um,
in that, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
it was edited by Andrew Cull and Gabino Iglesias,
Yes.
and I had a story in it called "The Spew of the News,"
Yes.
and it's all about a adult son coming home to figure out what the heck has happened to his parents who have kind of like ebbed into conservative, indoctrination.
Right.
And when he comes home, like it's a very kind of cosmic kind of horror thing. Um, and that story, I mean, I wrote that story. I can't even remember when Found came out, but that was like,
I'll tell
uh,
you. Hold on.
uh, uh,
Let's see. This is 2022,
okay.
according to this.
So I think I probably wrote it in like 2021,
Yeah.
2021. Um, and they took it, which I was like, wow, I was kind of surprised. And so that story in effect is like the first 5, 10 pages of
Right.
Wake Up and Open Your Eyes, like the same kind of like entree into the book is there. It's the same aperture, but like the novel kind of like goes further.
Yeah.
But um, I mean the truth is that I am personally I have family who have progressively become kind of indoctrinated by the where they get their news from.
Yeah.
And it's just been something that has been that I have as a member of this family I've dealt with or not dealt with to whatever extent, for upwards to 8 years now, if
Yeah.
not longer. And that in of itself has been really just kind of like, no, I'm not going to mince words. It's weird and it sucks,
Yeah.
um, because it schisms my family in a way that is, making it odd.
Right.
And what is my response? I write a fucking book about it. So this is going to be an interesting Christmas. Um, but yeah. So it's not even so much that it was like looking into a crystal ball and
Yeah.
forecasting that we'll be talking about fluoride, as much as it's been dinner time conversation. Like
Yeah.
with the fam, and I love my family, and I have to figure out how to be a part of my family, which is
Yeah.
just such a weird thing to say when you're
I
200 years
know.
old like I am.
You're not 200 years old. Yeah, I get that. I mean I'm from the South, so I mean you can about imagine how it is down here.
Hmm.
Um, I am very fortunate that I have family who, while we may not agree on a lot of things, they are very gracious in not judging me or, like letting it necessarily divide too much. Like we're
Hmm.
still able to be a family, even though there are some things like we have a rule, just like we don't bring up Fox News whenever I go home. We just do not do it. And
Yeah.
that's how you keep the peace or whatever. Um, it's an interesting thing. And like, I've kind of like thought about how much I was gonna like get into the political nature of this book because I think that you managed to say, I mean, it's obviously leaning in that direction, but you still managed to say a lot about our dependence on technology, our inability to be connected with one another, disinformation, misinformation. I mean, like there's plenty of other things that your book accomplishes. But to be truthful, I mean, it's just like a rough time to exist in a
Hmm.
world that is just so fucking divided. Like,
Yeah.
there's no other way around it. Like, regardless of, like, there's so much division and
Yeah.
there's no reasoning. And that's like the really scary thing. And that's what I think makes your book so like compulsively readable is because we identify with that. Like the horror that you do write is extreme, it is gory, and yeah, it's sometimes it's a little absurd. Like there were some scenes I was just laughing. Like I was just
Yeah.
laughing because like that's all that you can do. But like that's also how it feels right now because how do you reach common ground when you have all these outside external stimuli influences that are just nothing ever shuts up anymore. We're always exposed to something.
Yeah.
And we were never meant to live this way, I don't think. And I'm saying this as a 26-year-old who grew up with technology. And I was literally talking with my mom today. I'm like, there should have been a rule that the internet was checks and balances. Like, I'm somebody who's normally like the government should like kind of back off, but I'm like, we should have had some checks and balances. We should have never let this grow to where it's at today. We just shouldn't have.
Yeah. I mean, I think I want to say this, and I want to believe the book does it, but it might not, but I want to believe it does. I think that as a liberal leaning, creative type living in a liberal enclave, little liberal bubble in East Coast elite state city, uh, it the lowest hanging fruit is for me to kind of pick or poke at the right and say that this is what you're doing is bad. And I think that that is the aperture into the book. And for a I don't know if it's half, more than half, but like for a good part of it, that is exactly what it is. But I feel like I have to be honest with myself and be honest
Yeah.
with the book that like that is not it is the lowest hang it's the easiest target, but like
Yeah.
I think that the kind of I don't know if it's the deeper target or if it's just a pivot, but I don't think that any liberal leaning uh artistic type living in a bubble in a in a East Coast elite states, like city, like I think they are equally, maybe not equal, they are represented and
Yeah.
they're kind
No,
of
you
like
do.
um so and it's not I don't want to think of it as like a whataboutism or like a fair and balanced, but like you know we're we are in a state, like a polarizing state where like you know nobody's talking to anybody,
Yep.
nobody
Hmm.
knows what to do,
Yep.
and the kind of imbalance is that it wreaks chaos on everybody.
Yeah.
And I don't know, like it I mean I don't know, I'm kind of hopping now, but like I do think that like for me, at face value, the book is going to be like, oh, this is just uh a, a lefty, like taking the righties to task.
But
And
it's really not. Like as somebody who's read it, and I literally like I have it written in my notes here, and I wrote about it in my review. Nobody is spared. Nobody is safe. I think, like you said, it's the end to which we explore this problem that you like introduce the story because, like you said,
Mhm.
you felt like that was the easiest way to enter this issue. Um, but by like the last third of the book, you're holding a magnifying glass to what it means to be part of any party right now and to fall into any ideology that isn't speaking to one like the difference that we have right now among all of us, whether that's party politics, like whatever it is. There's just so much space.
Yeah. um and it's I I feel like the gratuitousness, and like I'm learning, like I'm now in a kind of learning process with the book because like it's getting out there and people are reading it and responding to it, and I'm receiving that feedback. And you know I knew it was I was like, oh yeah, this is like a pretty tough book, like this is going to be intense. But I guess I didn't, like it's kind of surprising to see how 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 people are responding to it. Because I mean, I don't know. I think at the end of the day, like I always think of like the real extreme dudes, like all the way over there, and they'll be all like, "Oh man, this is this is this is an extreme. We're extreme. We do the extreme stuff." So like I just feel like a tourist in the extremity. like like so I don't know. Like I don't like, to me it doesn't feel like really extreme, but maybe that's just because like I know what's over there on the like on that end of the
Yeah.
spectrum. But this feels like Disney extreme.
Yeah, I think if you read your other work and you like then you read this, like you read, like Ghost Eaters and Kill Your Darling and Stay on the Line, those are like really emotional. Like there's a lot of internal turmoil and like horror in some of those books because like they're really like character led. And
Mm,
like you do the with Wake Up and Open Your Eyes, and this is another talking point I was hoping to get to. You do like the micro thing and the macro thing, right? Like
hmm
you have like there's a three parts to the book, and we open up with like just chaos and insanity, and you're like, oh, where is this gonna go? And then like you kind of step back, and then we're gonna watch it happen to this one family, and
hmm
you're gonna see how it happens, and then we zoom in and we zoom back out. And so I think in some ways, whenever you open up the story in that way, it's like obvious there's more possibility for that horror to unfold, right? Like
yeah,
it's a bigger playground. There's just more room for things to happen. So I guess I can see why there's a lot of reactions to like, oh, this is much more extreme. And I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, like I'll never look at a pizza cutter and a NutriBullet the same way again, but like I think it's just it's a circumstance of the story that you're telling and like what you're trying to say.
yeah.
Like I think it's part of it.
Um, all I wanted to write was the part two section. Like
Yeah.
I wanted that. That was to me the book. Like that. Like when I first pitched it, I was like, "This is the novel. Like let's just watch like a nuclear family
Yeah.
succumb to demonic possession." And the feedback I got from my editors was that feels very suffocating, very kind of myopic. Like we want to see what's happening on a global, or at least a national kind of
Yeah.
and the bummer to me is that like I feel like we've seen that, and it's even in the press copy. It's like, we've got Last of Us, we've got Walking Dead, we've got like all of these zombie epidemic things, which I think this kind of uh parallels in a lot of respects. But
Yeah.
it's like, how do you do that? How do you write that makes it feel even remotely interesting at this point? And for me, it was just like there were a few scenes that got kind of like left on the cutting room floor because there was like it was just the road with
Yeah.
like it was just like that all over again, and it's still there like the like that's what part three is, but like for me it became more about like, okay, let's just go. I was gonna say rando, but like I don't know. Like I wanted it to feel like, okay, this is all I have to say, and I'll shut up. But like The Stand, it's a great book,
hmm
wonderful. I just love the first 100 pages. I just
Yeah.
love watching Captain Trips decimate everybody. And then when it becomes about, the survivors picking up and like reformulating humanity and life, and like that stuff interests me less. Like I
Yeah.
want to see I want to see everything go to shit. Um and I I wanted it to be, I feel like we're in a time where there cannot be one answer for
Yeah.
anything. There's
Yeah.
never going to be the mask gets yanked off and it's like, old man Withers. It's old man, it's Uncle Nat like hiding under there, and it was like him all along. Like there's no one individual uh source. Like it's like
No.
whatever,
No.
like,
Yeah.
and like people want that so badly. Readers
Yeah.
want that so badly. They want it to be the devil. They want it to be, and like with COVID, like just
Yeah.
not to get political, but like we're always like looking for like the root source. Like where did it start? Like what is the cause? And like even if like someone today said, I here is where it is. This is how it started. It started at A. You would have so much kind of disparate information and all of this kind of conflicting intel coming at you that you wouldn't even be able to parse the truth from some fabrication, or like people just have so much kind of like accessibility to
Yeah.
lies and falsehoods that like the truth has no
It has
air
no
to
weight
breathe.
anymore. No, it has no
Yeah,
weight anymore. There's no validity anymore to
yeah.
anything. Feels
Yeah.
like it. It feels like anyway. I mean,
Yeah. So
um,
so like let's like let the world burn in this way that feels like, okay, you're not gonna know. You're just not gonna know. I pulled a senseless. It's a Ron Malfi where it's just like, it's not like I like if you go here for an answer, if you go to Twitter for an answer, if you go to, CNN for an answer, you're just never going to get an, like, nobody knows shit. And like, but you have everybody telling you
yeah.
what the answer is.
Well,
And
like,
yeah.
it's kind of like hitting me now though, but like, there is so much connective DNA between your book and Paul Tremblay's Head Full of Ghosts. Like, like it is like, why are you giggling?
I don't know. It's a first.
But no, but like if you think about it, in the same way, like if, let's say like wake up and open your eyes is like the big macro look at everything else. If you wanted to get really, really minuscule and micro and on the nuclear level of what's happening to all of us, look at I think her name's Mercy, right? In Head Full of
Hmm.
Ghosts. I think it's Mercy or Mary or something like that. But she doesn't know either. And she's got the news crew telling her what it's supposed to be. She's got her
Hmm.
sister telling her what it should be. She's got her mom telling her what it should be. And she's got her dad telling her what it should be. And
Yeah.
like, we are all her. We are all her. And we don't know what's happening. And we have
Yeah.
everybody telling us all of these things. And we're just the 6-year-old kid
Yeah.
who's trying to make it another day.
Yeah. Um, I mean, you pull a Tremblay out and it's like he's like frustratingly ambiguous to the extent
Yes.
where it's like, you could just see his shoulders. Like he's standing like 6 feet taller than all of us. And we're like, Paul, I need answers. Give me answers. And all Paul, he doesn't even move. It's just like his shoulders just go, like he just shrugged, like it's like, I don't know. And like he has an answer. He has an answer. Like
Oh,
he
yeah.
writes it so that like it's he is so coy. But he's like like the answer is just bristling under the surface of those words.
Yeah.
Um, but that makes it so masterful. Like
Yeah.
you like I don't know. I feel like wake up and open your eyes is more of a kind of a wailing and a flailing because there is no answer to be had. We're desperate for answers, and everybody thinks they have the answers and they're going to tell you what they think the answer is. And that loop, that kind of
Yeah.
like weird kind of like echo chamber just kind of creates such a cacophony that by the end there's nothing you can do but succumb to it. Like you have to like like you know um yeah,
No,
ride the
I agree.
wave,
I
man.
Yeah, I think wake up and open your eyes is the reaction, like the big reaction to what it's all been. Like you said, the cycle of echo chambers and feedback that you don't know it's real anymore
Yeah.
and all that good shit. But
And
no,
it's
I
sloppy and it's chaotic and it's just like dunderheaded and goofy and stupid and like it's just like the bull in the china shop. Like it's just like, like it doesn't like there's just no like it's just like an unwieldy mass that just like oh like it just blunders into your bookshelf.
yeah. I mean, you know, uh, it might have been Emily Hughes who said this, but she said like we were talking about this at one, I think it might have been on Talking Scared. She said something about how like you can be the person who like looks in whenever you're anxious, like you look into the thing further to feel
Hmm.
better about it, or like you have to be the person who like looks away from it, right?
Hmm.
And like I feel like your book is obviously like the one that's leaning into looking at it, and like it's oddly it's oddly reassuring because like like you're seeing the worst case scenario play out and you read the book and you've experienced it and then you come out on the other side and you're like, okay, all right. I
We did
survived it.
it.
Like we
We
did it.
survived. Yay. Yeah. I mean, we'll see, right? We'll see who survives. Every
Even
day is a new
though
day. New dawn, a new day.
a little bit, but no, I know that this book has given you some stress. Just a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I I don't know what is going to happen to me. And like actually, it's so weird because there's no outcome that feels great. Like like I want it of course I want it to do well. Of course I
Yeah.
want it to succeed. Of course I want to be a gazillion billion copy bestseller and like get all the like but that's not going to happen. And so what's the alternative? It's like the book whimpers and it doesn't matter. And like it's like, oh man, I like put my relationship to my family at jeopardy for this, for nothing. And that is going to be a bummer. Um, and then on the other side of it, it's like, okay, it gets attention. It ripples, and then people who like maybe it finds an audience that is very vocal and active and proactive when it comes to uh, safety, my safety. Like maybe that like I'm already kind of like oh my God, I'm gonna go out on tour with this thing, and like that feels like am I gonna get doxxed? Am I gonna get trolled? Am I gonna get uh assassinated? Am I gonna get what are all the like possibilities of like when you because like I am quite literally putting something out there into the world that has a certain statement behind it that for some people it could be any and it's like you know whoever like whatever end of the political spectrum you go on like this book is not favorable to anyone at
Yeah.
all um and like but like someone could take that and feel kind of galvanized by that to do something about that. And that scares me. But that seems unlikely. So like I feel like there's no outcome that feels like what is this book going to do to me?
Well, I want to address like one thing. I think I mean, it mattered to me. It
Hmm.
meant something to me. It affected
Hmm.
me in a way that I felt like was a net positive. Like,
Hmm.
I mean, yeah, I'm a little freaked out by tongues now, but that's cool. I mean, but on
Yeah.
the whole, I'm gonna go off the rails a little bit here, but I'm gonna bring it back. When I was in grad school, I was in a class that I think we were studying like addiction. And it was like some study that we read. I really wish that I could remember the name of it because it would make it sound so more valid because it sounds so made up what I'm about to say. Um, but they did like an experiment with mice, and they had mice in a community and like in a cage with other mice, and they put like drugs in the cage, and they had like a spinny wheel, and they had activities, and they had things to do, and they had community, and they did not get nearly as addicted or like lead sickly lives as compared to the mice who were separated without enrichment, without connection, without whatever, right? So
Hmm.
like those mice ended up becoming very, very addicted and very ill and dying. And anytime that I think that I try to reflect on the social condition that we are living in right now, I can't help but think of that study. Because even though it pertains to addiction, I mean, like you can take any like negative and kind of substitute it in there.
Yeah.
And I think that that's what your book talks about and explores is like this disconnection. And like on the nuclear family level, you have a husband and wife who are so far disconnected that they're just like in their own screens all of the time, that the kids are just doing their own thing, and it all falls apart in different ways too. You don't let it all just be down the wormhole of the television. The mom, I mean, spoiler, not really spoiler, but there's a whole different reason that she falls into the madness, right? And it's
Yeah.
like it's a whole other thing. So I think that matters because like it's a snapshot of our social state. Like as
Yeah.
much as shitty as it is, it's true. We are so disconnected that we are not. we are not with each other anymore. We are not present anymore. We're in this place that I don't even know how to describe it. I mean, like you said, it feels a little bit like the world is burning and we're gonna watch it burn, but like it's just with all of the voices that we have to that are at our disposal 24/7, and we're trying to pick the one to listen to, and the truth doesn't really weigh the same as it used to. That's like really isolating, and that's
Yeah.
scary. That's frightening, and that's what you tap into, I think. That was my takeaway from it, and that's why it sits with me and it lasts with me because it feels important and it feels like it represents this moment that we're in and some of the social anxieties that we carry.
Yeah. So who in the heck wants to read that? Who?
People who care about, like maybe making it better and recognizing the position that we're all in.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I'm dubious. I'm dubious of like what this book is going to do. I don't see the path. I want to, I've like, you know, every book I'm like, okay, maybe this is the path. And then it ends up not being that case, like that not being the case. And it like takes its own, whatever its route is. But like, I don't like, you know, I wanted this book to be a, did I want it to be entertaining? I wanted it to be audacious in a way that like people would just be like, "What the heck?" Like, "Oh my God." Like, like, "Oh my, they did what?" You know. I mean, I took a page from Evil Dead. I love
Yeah.
Evil Dead.
Yeah.
I grew up with Evil Dead. Evil Dead is very important to me. And what I remember in watching the Evil Dead, and particularly Evil Dead 2, of course, like
Yeah.
it that you have that just the kind of gall, like the the audacity of this film where just every like it's just so maximalist. Like everything that happens is just like so writ large and nearly operatic and like I don't know, like I thought that was kind of amazing because it just felt kinetic and dangerous and like not that we need to, but like I feel like I was very opposed to the idea of the remakes
Yeah.
and because I just didn't think the world needed a reboot of that. But then you kind of take into account that like part two, like Dead by Dawn is a remake of the first Evil. Like that entire series is kind of a an Ouroboros that kind of eats its own tail. Um, but there's something that I appreciate about the modern versions of it
Hmm.
that, and maybe it wasn't by accident that like what was Evil Dead Rise came
Yeah.
out in
Hmm.
2022
Yep.
2023.
Yeah. I
Like
think early 23.
that was on my, like I watched that and it was like this is the way. This is like you have people who are succumbing to their possession in and not like it's like a family and like
Yeah.
but it's you're watching it like the kind of the familial bond decay and no one is spared in that movie like no
No.
like
No.
and I admired that and so I just copied it. I just stole from Evil Dead Rise because why not? Why the fuck not? um because that's where we are right now.
Yeah. Well, no.
Like, yeah,
And I mean, but isn't that like what the best of horror does? Like, isn't it just elevating everything to 10 so you don't miss it? Like
yeah,
to me that's good horror is whenever, like you're taking like a very universal problem, experience, conflict, whatever you want to call it, and you're dramatizing uh certain components of it by using the supernatural, the paranormal, the otherworldly to make sure like, hey, we're going to drive this point home. And
yeah.
that's what you do. I mean, you succeed in doing that.
I sure hope so. I wanna believe you. I wanna trust you, but I don't. I just don't know. I don't
I
know.
get it. I get it.
This is the worst time. It's like it's that weird. moment before it's out there.
It's a weird limbo, I'd imagine.
Yeah. But then the book's gonna come out, and it's not like a switch is gonna get flipped. It's not like all of a sudden it's like, oh, this book is here. I mean, it's like, I mean, it's gonna be such a bummer because like this whole time I'm like, oh no, the book is gonna come out. What's gonna happen? And then it's gonna be January 7th, and the book comes out, and then it's like, oh, nothing happened. It's just another day, and it's just like, okay, yeah, like see ya, guys. Like it just, I like nothing, nothing matters. That's my
I
takeaway. Nothing matters.
things do matter, and I wish that I had a crystal ball to tell you what would happen, but I equally do not know as well. But I think it is. I don't think it'll be just another day. I don't think it'll be D-Day either. I don't think it's gonna be like, you know,
Yeah.
everything catches on fire.
Yeah. I just don't know where this world, what was I going to say? I don't see where this book
No, I think you had the
factors,
right idea.
like, I just don't know where the book factors into the world anymore. Like, I don't know if I knew pre-election day. I don't know if I knew in writing it, but like, I needed to like wail into the void for 400 pages. And, and I did. And now you have to suffer through it. Like like the people are going to either engage or not.
It's not
And
suffering though. I do want to
uh,
ask, so you say that you felt the need that you needed to scream into the void or however. But like what was that writing experience like? Like was that cathartic? Did it like was it helpful? Did it like what was it like?
I don't know if it was helpful. I don't think it was helpful. Because I mean, I have yet to kind of bear the brunt of what I've done. Like, I'm like, I feel like there are going to be consequences. And on one hand, it's going to be me, like, I have to go home and tell my parents not to read this book. Like, I have to
Yeah.
like literally say, guys, skip this one. Maybe don't ixnay on the E-raid day. Um, and and that's just such a weird thing. Um, but no, so there was no, it wasn't like I wrote this awful, violent, perverse stuff and I was like, ah, it's out of my system. I was like, it's not like there was never that moment of like, ah, feels 10 pounds lighter. It was more like, um, I mean, I do think that like the whale is I am powerless. I can't change anything. Things are happening all around me. Things are happening to me. I'm like like what does anybody do when you are faced with some impossible, hopeless, insurmountable thing, you know? There's no hero's journey. Like even like we're gonna go back to Brooklyn. Let's get back to Brooklyn. Like, that is the closest thing to an engine that this book has. And even that's like it's just so trite. It's just such a folly of like, yeah, yeah, go back to like these things have no meaning in this. Like the core tenets of our life are so like facile. And because of that, like it was me saying, I have no power, I have no control over my life. I'm yeah, and like I think there's just a scream. I mean, like the scream is the closest thing to the cathartic quality that I, as the writer, had. But yeah, I think I just wanted to like the scream starts and it's like, and like it just doesn't. It doesn't let up. Like it's
Yeah.
like part one is just like. It's like it's like when you want to scream, but it's like you're like
You're
clenched and
fighting
it's like
it. Yeah.
you know and then part two is basically like holding your breath for like pages, like 200 pages, and it's like there's no air. There's just nothing to breathe. Like no, like it's just like densely like suffocating until the last, I don't know, page. And then it's like blah 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 blah. And then the last third is just like like blah, blah. And that's it. That's the book. That's the whole book.
I hope that you do know that the scream is relatable though, and like a lot of people feel the same way as you do about I don't feel like I can control or I am in control or like how do you change? Like
Yeah.
that's so relatable right now across the
Yeah.
board. And that's why I think that books like these matter is like if you can recognize that, that's a game changer to be like, shit, it's not just me screaming out there.
Yeah.
There's others that are also screaming.
Yeah. I hope that's the case. I hope people want to scream along with me.
Yeah.
Um, did you, I mean, going back to COVID, like one of the kind of nice moments was living here in Brooklyn, people would go out on their stoops or on their fire escapes and bang pots and pans at like I think it was like 4:30 every day. Like everybody goes out and like makes a lot of loud noise and clatter to say thank you to the essential workers
Yeah.
and the nurses and everybody who's kind of first respondering out there and like just kind of paying our respects. Um, this book, I want to be the screaming version of that. I just want everybody
The
to come
wailing.
together and just wail. Let's wail together. Aye.
Isn't that basically like what a concert is, though? That's good.
Yeah,
It's a
yeah,
communal experience. It's
yeah.
connection. It's the same pe thing people do at church. So, I
But
mean,
what if the band is a real big buzzkill? What if this is like the moody goth band that like won't look at you? It's like their back is turned and they're just like, the world is pain. Everything
I don't.
sucks.
It it sounds like you're describing some of The Cure, and then they still made happy songs. So there's no need to worry.
Have you heard the new album?
I did. Wait, I have the best story about this. It's so funny
Okay.
you bring this up. My supervisor at work is like a big, like Psychedelic Furs fan. He went and go see them in
Hmm.
concert recently, Cure fan or whatever. And I very much have that music taste that I got from my parents. And like I literally went to see The Cure when they came to New Orleans with my uncle, my mom, and my dad.
Wow.
And so I had to go in his office the other day and like I needed like an Ethernet port that only he had in his office to do something software related. And so we were just sitting there in his office and I was like, "Did you hear the Cure came out with a new album?" And he was like, "No." He's like, "You want to listen to it together?" So we just sat there and listened to nearly the whole thing
Wow.
in silence. Like I'm just doing my computer work and he's doing his thing. And we just like shared the Cure
Wow.
album together.
That is so cool. The
Yeah.
Cure brought you guys together.
Oh
That's,
yeah.
man, that's a great story.
That's good shit, yeah. But it was hilarious because I think, like I have other coworkers that are like, "What the fuck is that?" And we're just like,
I
"It's The Cure." What do you
yeah.
know about it?
I have that album. I've listened to that album a couple times, a few times, and I still can't tell you what that album is. Like it's like
No,
it
it's a lot.
begins and it ends and it's like a sonic swamp of mood and it's like plotting, it like trudges and I know there's songs in there and I know there's like singing, but like I actually can't hear it yet. Like
Yeah.
it's weird. Like I've
It's a
listened.
lot to yeah, it's a lot to take in like at once, I found. Like you can't absorb it all at once.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It's a weird one.
Yeah.
So
It
this is
is.
basically The Cure's new album on for 400 pages.
Hell yeah. I love it. I love it.
Hell.
And may I just add, when I did see The Cure in concert, it is by far the quickest energy shift I have ever seen in a concert. When I tell you they played like all of their moody, long guitar solo, a forest songs for the entire pretty like 90%. The last like four songs were like the fun ones, right? Boys Don't Cry, like all. I mean, people shot up from their
Mhm.
seat. Like everybody's just vibing out, right? Like
Yeah.
it's the Smoothie King Center in New Orleans. Everybody's just vibing out. Everybody's
Wait, is it
catching a
really
chill.
called the Smoothie King?
Center, yeah. Because Smoothie King owns it. I shit you not, and it connects to the Superdome. Anyway,
Oh my God.
um, so everybody's just like me kind of mellow, kind of chilling out, catching a vibe, and then they play their happy. I mean, I've never seen so many like 60 and 70-year-olds just like jump up and like get to grooving. I mean, it
Yeah.
was insane.
I I feel like I don't get my cure bona fides. I love Kiss Me, Kiss Me, Kiss Me, which is to say, I think Disintegration is fine. It's great. But like I love Hot Hot Hot. I love
Yeah,
Boys Don't Cry. I love the like I mean I love Friday I'm in Love. Like I love their like just like I love it when Robert Smith is smiling.
I love it whenever Robert Smith sings about how much he loves his wife. That's what makes me
Yeah.
happy.
Yeah.
That's a sweet
Yeah.
one. Oh, but enough about The Cure. Okay, so I've been talking to you for over an hour now, somehow.
Yeah.
Um, so we've kind of covered a lot on Wake Up and Open Your Eyes, but like the last thing, there's one last thing I want to touch on, and that is the pacing of this book that I mentioned before.
Uh-huh.
Did you think whenever you wrote it, it would read so quickly? And like, do you think that it reads quickly? Because to me, it is like at lightning speed that this thing rolls.
Um the the first part, part one, was the one section that I was like adamant that it had to start and never stop.
Yeah.
And like there was like a modest amount of tension between me and my editors. Not like we didn't fight over it, but like it was actually a lot longer. It
Hmm.
started earlier, and there was more of like Noah and his family up in Brooklyn before he like makes the trip. You want to hear something wild?
Yeah.
Uh, the paperback of What Kind of Mother
Yeah.
has a chapter from Wake Up and Open Your Eyes as a like sample. Like, read
Yeah.
the first chapter of Wake Up and Open Your Eyes. And that chapter got cut so quickly from the book. So like the only place that that exists is in fact in the paperback edition of Wake Up and of What Kind of Mother. So
Oh shit.
like I like it you know, I wrote that first part, like part one, and it was like he gets there, he gets into his family's house, his childhood home, and like just the shit hits the fan, and it's just like
Right.
blah 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 blah. Blah. And the next like the feedback I got was we don't really know who these characters are, and like they're you're kind of thrusting them into the situation a little too quickly. Like we want to take a moment and kind of maybe step back, breathe a little, get to know Noah, get to know what's at stake, his family, like all that stuff. So
Hmm.
like I wrote this like we're roller skating. It's like me, it's like Noah and the fam like roller skating at the like the roller rink, and like, oh, isn't this fun? And like and then it's like, oh, I'm getting a call from my mom. Like so like and like so it and like he gets down there and he's like, what's going on here? And it's like, I'm gonna go ask the neighbors, what's going on here? And like, do you know? Like, and there was like, it was a lot of like this feels very strange. And like, it was just like a lot of kind of like plotting and just like, boop, 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 doo. And it felt, it felt a little bit like, and I have two editors at Quirk, and there's always this kind of like trying to like sync the three of us and our thinking up on the book, and it became like there became like once we had had that expansive version of it, the more kind of methodical version of it,
Right.
uh, one of my editors was like, "You just need to, the shit just needs to hit the fan. Like let's get cranking." And so all of that stuff got cut, and then my kind of adamancy was like this needs to be one chapter. It needs to
Yeah.
be one like just go 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 go. Don't let up. Like it was so strange. Like one of my editors was like let's get like this is the end of this. So let's like have a page break. Let's like let it like go to the next chapter. And I was just
Right.
like it like I had never felt such a like gulf from like one page to the next. And I was like,
Mm.
no, no, it needs to kind of like smush together so that it just feels like, like so like pacing was like a real focus
Yeah.
for part one.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
because I wanted it to feel like once that switch gets flipped and possession kind of takes effect,
Right.
uh, it everything that has led up to that moment feels like it's all gone. It's like like you're in an airplane and the window is blown out and like everything just gets sucked out. Like the
Yeah.
atmosphere just gets like and like there's no time to process anything that's happening. So this like assault, this the violence of it, like the response to that violent, like the retaliate, like the reaction,
Right.
like
Yeah.
all of that, like it just there's just no time to think, and you just have to do. Um, which I mean, like that's 28 days later. Like that's
Yeah.
like like that's uh you know like there's so many different kind of antecedents for just like, okay, like let's hit the ground running.
Yeah.
And then part two is like, ah,
But it's not because you know better at that point.
yeah. Well, because you know the cause, like you know the effect, but you
Yeah.
don't necessarily know the cause.
Cause.
And like the idea is that okay, let's start at ground, like let's return to zero,
Yeah.
like, and then like build up. Like here we go. This is what happens when because we were with Noah. He's on the outside looking in. He has no
Right.
clue because he's
Yeah.
like, and he's just too naive to know what the heck is going on because he's had his head up his ass. And but now we get to see it from someone who is directly experiencing it, like succumbing
Yeah.
to it. And that to me was like I just wanted to take it so slow, like painfully slow, like redundantly slow, that like you're just like I don't know, just watching like the little things like start to like take over,
Yeah.
so that when the shit hits the fan, it feels like it's always been leading to that kind
Yeah.
of like end result.
You
And then part
accomplished.
three, it's like blah blah blah.
Yeah, but no, you definitely like to me when I read it, I was like it felt to me like pacing had to have been intentional. I mean, I'm obviously not an author, so I mean, I can't say exactly how pertinent that is and how much space that takes up in your mind when you're writing, but it felt incredibly important to the story. Like it's almost like the roller coaster, like you start off at the very tip top and it's
Hmm.
just like starts the descent and the scream begins and then you cut back to like whenever the roller coaster starts and then you
Yeah,
see the slow descent up and then you cut back to the all out
yeah.
madness of the nosedive.
I mean, I just feel like I mean it's the stand all over again, where it's just like if I could just have that first 100 pages, like I don't need society and civilization to rebuild itself. I don't need like good and evil to like have their little duke out. Like I just want to watch everything collapse so that people like I mean I like if the world were to end right now. Like if
Hmm.
like zombies were out the door right now, I would just be like, I have done nothing but spent the last 200 years of my life figuring out, like watching all of these movies and reading all these books, and I don't know what to do. And it would just be like, I just like the idea of that chaos is
Yeah.
the first like the opening intro to the remake of Day of the Dead, Dawn of the Dead, where it's have you seen the remake of
I
Dawn of the
don't know that
Dead?
I have. I'm gonna have to add that to my list. That'll be a weekend Christmas watch. I'm gonna
Yeah.
add it. I'm gonna work that into my Christmas schedule.
I mean like the first five like before the credits go, like the first like 5 minute opener is brilliant. It's
Yeah.
brilliant. Genuinely effective. Like I stole that. Like that's all it is. Like I just like let's do that for because like a couple hundred pages. And like yeah, because you have to. Like
Yeah.
that's like I don't think I don't know, like no one's gonna just be like, hey, the world's like, anarchy. Like, what's over there? Like, whoa, like it's like like, people are just like, I don't know what's going on, and this is freaking me out, and like like, like it's just that times 2000.
Yeah. It's just like an assault. It's an overall assault. There's
Yeah,
no stopping it. Yeah. You
yeah.
nailed it. You definitely nailed that. For sure. Oh man. Clay.
Score.
I think that based on hearing what you've said about the book whenever you set out to write it and the things that you felt when you were writing it, and like I feel like I one read the book like I got the same things out of the book that you intended to write. Like
Hmm.
I feel like that has been achieved. Um I know that you are
Okay. Yes.
but I mean to say is there's a lot that you can take away from something like this. And so I think that, and especially the way that you've been talking about your nervousness about what the hell will happen with it. There's no doubt that I mean, it's the perfect encapsulation. You have managed to bottle up the anxiety of our society right now. And I think that it's really incredible that you're able to do it in a way that reads as quickly as it does and is as entertaining as it is. And it's all of it in a bottle. You've managed to bottle it up. And I don't really know how you did it. And I don't really know, like I said, from pacing to the structure that you did with the three different parts. I mean, it all came together in the end. And it's
Yeah.
little Paul Tremblay and it's little 28 days later and like all of those things. But I, I understand where it may feel wrong to say I enjoyed it, but I think it's so important. Like, I think that it's the snapshot of now. It's now. It's what we're experiencing. And like that's why we read. That's why we pick up books. We feel things and we want to be closer to other people. And this is all what we're feeling. Or a lot, I don't want to say all. I don't want to speak for everybody. A lot of us are feeling.
Um, Thank you. I I just want to clone you. Um, I just want I don't know. I'll write something happy. I want to write some romance. I want to write a
I
rose
I was
story.
about to I was about to bring up, can you please pull like the Steve I said like Stephen King did a secret romance with 11/22/63 and like Stephen Graham Jones wrote like an epic love story with I Was a Teenage Slasher.
Yeah.
So if you managed to pull that off,
I
I'd be
want to
very
yeah.
interested.
I just want to write romance.
Yeah.
I'm going to like I'm going to like fritter off and just like write romance for a bit. And hopefully someone will want to come with me.
I think that you should do it. I'm all for it.
Done.
I support it. But speaking of, what is next for you? And you have a short story collection coming out with Titan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
2025 is going to be a wild year. I
Yeah.
have three books coming out. I have, Wake Up is in January, and then all the way in September, uh,
Yes.
I've been writing these comics,
Yeah,
this
Seance in
creator-owned
the
comic.
Asylum.
Yeah, and I love it so much. And the trade paperback, like the kind of graphic novel edition of it, will come out in June, and I'm really excited about that because I really want people to get their eyeballs on that.
Yeah.
Um, but then in like September, I have this one-two punch of I have like a YA novel coming out on Delacorte and a short story collection with Titan, and September's gonna be intense
Yeah.
um, because it'll be me and the YAs and the Titans and the stories.
Well, what can you say anything about those? Like what it's about yet or
Think so. I mean, it's funny. Like Delacorte announced uh, it, and Jesus, did they? I'm trying to remember if they actually said what it's about. I don't know if they did. I mean, it's like a sci-fi horror
Oh, hell
thing.
yeah.
Like it's my Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Oh, perfect. Okay.
So
I'm
yeah,
sold. Say less.
yeah, okay.
Yeah.
That's all it is. It's
Don't say
Invasion
it
of
like
the
it's all that is. That's great. Are you kidding?
yeah yeah. I mean, like I had a lot of fun writing it. I wrote it. I was like waiting. for a long time to get feedback from my editors for Wake Up and Open Your Eyes. So like there was like this window where I was just like, fuck it, I'm gonna write another book. And I wrote another book and it was right there. And there was
Yeah,
this, it's this little YA novel. So,
I love it.
um, yeah, yeah.
Good. I'm
And
really looking
and
forward to that one.
I hope it comes out in September. I'm still waiting for copy edits, but like the last I heard, September.
Good. Good, good. So
Yeah. And
we have
then yeah,
lots of Clay coming up in the new year.
is it too much?
No, no. Never.
No, but I'm like serious.
Literally
Like is it
never.
like at what point like I need to like figure out how to survive off of this. So that's my like I'm doing this weird kind of like straddle of like I want to express myself artistically by telling the stories that I want to tell and I want to put food on the table. And
Yeah.
like sometimes those things are in simpatico with one another and sometimes
Yeah.
maybe it's a little bit more artistic, maybe it's a little more mercenary, but I I'm trying to grow my audience and I feel like I might be killing my audience. So
I
I
don't think that you are.
I
Not from
mean,
where I'm sitting anyway. I mean, I'm not the supreme all-knowing being, but
but you're
I
the
know.
supreme all-knowing it. I don't know. I don't know. If
No,
you're like
no. No, I mean, I love that you had Stay on the Line that came out with Shortwave. I love that you had the chat books with them as well.
mhm.
But that was I think one of them come out last year or this year? I don't remember anymore. Anyway,
Mm,
um,
no, they were
they were all
yeah,
out. Okay, before.
last
Okay.
year.
But
Yeah.
then you had Kill Your Darling, and then you had Seance in the Asylum. I mean, you were incredibly busy, and they're all like of substance. It's not just it's not just ooh creepy ghost story for 30 minutes. Like they meant something. They meant something to me.
Yeah.
Um,
I just
so
need to
I
come keep
mean,
coming back to you. Like you're going to be the barometer. Like that's what
okay.
this is the position you put yourself in. Like it's unfortunate because you have to be careful because like we're going to lean on you. I'm going to lean on you.
You
And
should.
like I know now that the high watermark is Kill Your Darling. So it's like how do I top that? How do I either match that or exceed that? And I don't know if that's possible. I don't think that that's going to be something that is achievable
I think
anytime
it
soon.
is. I think Clay, you need to be kinder to yourself.
No, no, no,
Yeah.
no,
Listen, my
no.
therapist tells me all the time if you
Mhm.
wouldn't tell it to a friend, you shouldn't tell it to yourself. So,
I'm telling it to you. I'm telling
yeah.
you everything. I'm laying it all out there. I have nothing else to lose. I have nothing. This is it. This is like I'm here because you're my therapy. Like you're my therapist now. Like this podcast has become
Oh
my
God.
my couch
Oh
joke.
God. Can you imagine if I like somehow became therapist to horror authors of today? Can you imagine?
I mean, and then you put them on the internet
Yeah.
to for other people.
I
So
think
it's
that
like
breaks a few HIPAA laws.
I got therapy with Anna. Like, can you imagine? That would be like like horror author therapy, and like every session, it's like Paul Tremblay's like, but it's not that I really want to be ambiguous. It's just that I don't know how to. He's like, I, I just want to make a decision just for once. I just want people to know that like there is a happy and it's like that. Like, could you imagine if that happened?
Oh
Like,
my
oh
God.
my God. Oh my God.
This
Just
would be
having Paul
amazing.
Tremblay, like, I'm like, uh, every time someone says that I'm the ambiguous guy, I get a little sad. I just want people to
It
know.
would probably open up with how are you doing today, Paul? Just a little-
Mm. I'm doing okay. Yeah.
Can you tell me some more about that?
Uh,
Another shrug.
uh, uh.
We love you, Paul. I don't know that you'll ever watch this, but in case you do, we love you.
I dare you, Paul Tremblay, to listen to this episode. I dare someone else to tell Paul to listen to this episode. That's it. If anyone out there is listening to this right now,
We
it
need
is up to
Nat and
you.
Paul to listen.
Tell Nat, tell Uncle Nat, he's got to have some magic tricks for us at the Christmas table. And tell Paul it's gonna be okay.
Oh, Clay. It is like I can't express to you like truly what a joy it is to talk to you. Like sometimes I feel like I have to outline to death like before I interview somebody like because I just want to make sure like I hit everything that I want to. And then like with you, we end up hitting things that I didn't even mean to. It's so much fun. It's so much fun.
I mean, I've been pretty cheeky, and I hope that's okay. But I do genuinely believe that like it is. There's great value to this, to having conversations like this, and I really, I look fondly back at the time we had last time, and like I don't know, like the the kind of conversational ease of it is really beguiling, and I don't know, I just like sometimes you have an interview and are just kind of like, oh, okay, but
Yeah.
like others it's like let's just I don't know, um yeah.
I much prefer it if it can be helped that it's more of a conversation. Sorry, my dog is losing her mind. I think
Hmm.
Amazon just delivered something. I don't know. But I think I prefer a conversation more than an interview if it can be helped. I mean, like don't get me wrong, there are times when the interview format, like question answer,
Yeah,
is more suitable, but I don't know. I do like a good conversation. I do like a good back and forth, you know?
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think Neil was right to have you on that show. Damn it.
Thank
And I
you.
think it was, you know, it's wild to think that this is year one because where are you going to be year five, year 10?
Yeah. Oh,
Like,
shit if I know, man.
yeah, Paul Tremblay will be on that couch. He'll be spilling the beans. This is
Yeah.
what really happened to Mercy.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe I'll get it out of him one day. Maybe we'll unpack the trauma
Oh,
of
God.
the ambiguity, the perpetual ambiguity. Who knows?
Yeah, let Paul know the trauma he's caused us all. Trauma, Paul.
Truly, truly. Oh, Clay. Well, thank you so much for your time and like honestly, like also just being as candid as you are. Like that helps a lot. And I think it makes these conversations a whole lot different whenever you're as honest as you are. So thank you
Yeah.
for that. And
I got nothing else. There's nothing else to give. That's like lay it all out there, right?
yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, I hope that we'll chat again. If I can get my hands on an arc of that YA book, I mean, who knows? We might talk like two or three times this year, you know?
All right. You don't have to twist my arm. I think, gosh, I don't think there are arcs available yet. I think like, I don't even know. I really hope they don't push it. I don't know how fast YA works.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not as familiar with them as
Yeah,
everything else, but
we'll see.
yeah,
Um,
we'll find out.
when they're ready, I'll let you know.
Perfect, perfect, perfect. All right. Well, if anybody missed it, your new novel is Wake Up and Open Your Eyes, and it comes out on January 7th from Quirk Books. Thank you so much for all of your time and your expertise and your honesty, Clay.
Expertise, my butt. It's always a blast to talk to you. Thank you.